I come with interviews of some of my students who have matched into a US residency. DAMS has had a wonderful match season this time in 2021. All around us, we were hearing a lot of, bad information this year in 2020 with COVID, not being able to come out, with so many changes in our system. But what really remained intact is, in spite of all of those changes, we have still come out as winners. We've had a lot of students who have managed to get into a wonderful residency of their choice. And today I have come with a few of them who have, been kind enough to come here. One of our students is sitting in Mayo Clinic doing his research. It's early in the morning for him, but he's got up sharply dressed, ready to talk about his experience and tell you all about his journey. So I'm really thankful to each and every one of them, and I hope you enjoy this interview as much as I enjoyed talking to each and every one of them. And please get back to me if you have more questions, you want to know more about their journey, at usmle@damsdelhi.com. I'm Dr. Mala Srinivasan, and I really hope that we get more and more students who are interested in joining our program, because I think we are making winners now, as some of our students have told in this video that if you want to do USMLE right, then you should join DAMS. So looking forward to a lot of questions and a lot of interactions with some more students. So please have a look at this video, and I'm sure you'll have you will really enjoy it. Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your journey?
Sure. I am from Rohtak, and I grew up in a family of doctors over here. So on a very early stage, I decided that I wanted to pursue USMLE, but I didn't start until I ended my medical school. So that was something I still regret, that I didn't start early, but I started after I graduated. I initially consulted few online resources and tried to study from some of the other offline resources that are available for USMLE preparation. But eventually I started step 1 preparation course at DAMS, and that I think was really helpful since it helped me get a better insight into how we have to study for USMLE step 1. But also at the same time, I got introduced to such great and amazing mentors like you, Dr. Sumer, Dr. Sachin, Dr. Sandeep Madan, and so many others. So it's been a great experience being a part of DAMS. And I gave my step 1 in 2019, and then I had to rush through all the other exams since I took a lot of time in that. I gave my step 2 CK, step 2 CS, step 3, and all my rotations in 2020. And I was able to apply for the match. Luckily, I matched into one of my top choices, and it'll be a dream come true to be a part of UC Riverside in Los Angeles. Yeah,
that's fantastic, and I think you're among the few people I think who have matched into the West Coast, which used to be a couple of years back impossible for international graduates. So
absolutely.
Arjun, probably you come back now. I think there was something wrong. I had not put my camera on, so my sound on, so you can talk now. Can Arjun tell a little bit about your journey too?
Can you guys hear me right now?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Yeah. Sure.
Thank you.
So like I said, I matched in Cleveland Clinic, Ohio Foundation. So I am from Calcutta, India, originally, right now calling in from Rochester, Minnesota in the US. I started fairly early, like Akshit, in my first year, but I did not have a lot of direction on which I should proceed with my journey. And so what eventually ended up happening was I reached out to a lot of mentors, and ultimately I found Dr. Mala Srinivasan. So Mala ma'am really helped me kind of forge my journey and told me a lot about the different steps I should take. I think maybe I started this whole thing about 7 years back, and looking back, the timeline is the most important thing. I think that's what Dr. Srinivasan focused. So my advice to everyone will be to kind of go through the timeline, and wherever they're starting, be it first year, when they're about to graduate, they should have their specific timeline. When should they take their step 1, step 2 CK? They got rid of CS, I guess, OET, and their rotations. That being said, try your best, get the highest score possible for you, get good USCE, get good LORs, and apply and hope for the best.
Absolutely. Perfect. Now we come to Apurva. First, I'll get you all to talk about introducing yourself, and then I'll ask you all questions individually, okay? So there we have Apurva smiling away. Tell me about your journey, Apurva.
Hi, hello everybody. I am Apurva. I don't know if you can see this. I match in internal medicine as Atlantic Air Regional Medical Center, Atlantic City, New Jersey.
Hey.
So I started my journey in 2016. So now I'm from New Delhi, but I got a government college through All India in Ajmer. I had no alumni from my college, none whatsoever. My only support system was Dr. Mala. Thank goodness, I think after my second prof, I decided in pre-final that I want to pursue. I ate brains out of Dr. Mala. She was consistently there. I tried giving my step one. I studied for it, but it was not working out because I was not oriented to the system like step one. I was not confident. So finally, I gave my step in 2018 during my intern year, and then USCE, CSCK all along. During my journey, I even took the USMLE JAMS class. Now that helped me a lot because, and on top of that, Dr. Mala's consultation helped me throughout. Now, whatever I've learned from the journey is that I do feel that I did rush into my steps. I did feel like I was not completely ready. So don't do that because it will land you more interviews without a doubt. I did not have any contacts whatsoever. Nothing. It was just me out there with Dr. Mala. So, but there are a lot of misconceptions that I want to definitely break that people have. People think that it's only because of contacts or only because if you get 260s. See, getting 260s is amazing, but not everyone can do it. It's very hard. If you can do it, it's great. But even if you don't, then you can match. You can make up for, have something to do. So that's my story, and that's my takeaway from everything.
That's really good,
Thank you so much.
Because at this same call, we have, different people. See, ultimately, the result is you're matched, you're a winner. Okay. Yeah. But everybody has different journeys. And like you said, you should get people to know what probably you did wrong or something that went wrong, which made it a little tougher for you to, get where you got. But you already have got there, so no regrets at all. Khushbu, are you there? We have Ashir here or Khushbu. I'm hoping to see the others. Otherwise, we can continue our chat. Okay, so now I'm going to probably ask Akshit this. Akshit, when you went to the US, what challenges did you have? Did you do your electives over there? Was it easy to get into electives in the US? Did you do something specific to get into electives? Because a lot of students who are now trying to get into the US are finding it very, very tough. So was it easy for you to get into electives, or how did you try that?
Definitely. That's a great question. So I did not start my USMLE journey while I was a student in medical school. I started it after I graduated. So those medical student electives were not an option for me. I had already graduated. I did clinical rotations, which I did after my step one in 2020. And I'm fortunate enough that I completed them just before everything was shut down due to COVID. So I feel really blessed about that. And I think it's tough to find the electives once you're a graduate, but once you're a student, you're enrolled into a medical school, it's much easier to find an elective and get into those. But once you have graduated, you have very limited options. I could find a really good elective in New York and another in Michigan and then one in Phoenix. And all of them were hospital based. So that really helped me get insights into the US clinical system, how the patient interactions happen, how the EMR is operated. And I got a hand of a lot of EMRs in New York, Michigan, and Phoenix. So I think that has been a really good experience, and it also helped me in my step to CS. I was also one of the last few people to give step to CS before it was suspended. So I think it all happened like a miracle. I still can't believe that everything was possible in 2020. I still don't believe that, but luckily I could do all of that, and it's been great.
So you had 3 rotations. Arjun, on the other hand, I know has started pretty early. He gave a step 1 in his 3rd year. So he had plenty of electives. So you need to tell us a little bit about your experience in the US and how that mattered to you in matching in one of the top programs there.
Yes, I would like to second what Akshit just said. So clinical electives and observerships and rotations are very important in my humble opinion. So it not only helps you get USC, but helps you make connections, get LORs. So I did one of my rotations at Cleveland Clinic, and I am fortunate enough to match there. I know residents there, chief residents, professors who really helped me and put in a good word for me. So if you're a medical student and you started early enough, you can definitely do electives. So it usually happens that you need to apply during your final year. So for final year in India, it's considered internship. So maybe you will apply in your final prof. So that's like 3rd professional part 2. That's almost like a year prior to your elective. So a lot of planning goes into it. If you have step one, that's really helpful because a lot of universities will ask for the step one, and some places ask for TOEFL. So once you have an idea of what the requirements are, try to schedule your electives as soon as possible, apply to as many places as possible, at least have 2 to 3 months of US clinical experience. Just like Akshit said, it really helps to like get acquainted with the different EMRs like Epic, Cerner, etc. And again, form connections, and which ultimately helps you in matching.
Okay. Perfect. So now we've admitted 2 more students. I think there was some confusion. So firstly, it is Ashir. Congratulations, Ashir, and Khushbu. Congratulations to you too. I think these 2 are neuro admits. We have 3 internal medicine and 2 students who matched into adult neurology. So a little bit, maybe Khushbu, can you just tell us where you matched and a little bit about your journey? Just 2 minutes of like when you started and where you matched, a little bit, just 2 minutes. First with Khushbu and then we come to Ashir.
Yeah, thank you, Mala ma'am, for having me here. And I also prepare a placard. I matched at the University of Arkansas in neurology. So I started my journey pretty late, actually, after internship. And I guess I went through the same processes that everyone did, all of the steps, and also getting as much US clinical experience as possible, and also networking and forming connections as much as possible to be able to work or gain research experience. And I think all of that is finally culminated into me matching eventually. And I'm so happy that I'm able to be a part of this discussion. I never thought that this would happen, but yeah, thank you.
I know, it's lovely. And so you started during your, when you were studying still, so you could do some electives as well, right? You could do electives when
actually I had already
graduated.
No, I had already graduated, yes. So I could only do observerships. And I believe both of us, we had this discussion quite often. And I would come to you and ask you this, that is there any way that I could do an elective? And you were like, possibly you could ask your medical school or you could get a preceptor. And I tried to do all of those things. But then I thought instead of chasing something that is too out of my reach, I might as well try to do something that I can easily get my hands on and then explore opportunities from there, which is what I finally, I guess, ended up doing.
Very good. Perfect. Now we come to Ashir. Ashir, another star student of ours who is from our Pune center, and he was our VSAT student. And I remember right from day one, he was the most inquisitive of the lot, to lots of questions. And then, he used to perfectly follow to the T, just like most of you, and I think a lot of his success is because he's such a honest and hardworking individual, just like all of you. So Ashir, tell us about yourself, a little bit about your journey and where you ranked and matched.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mala, and congratulations to everybody else on this call. I know this journey has been tiring, exhausting, and now rewarding. So it's good to see you on the other side. I started my journey with DAMS and Dr. Mala back in 2017. I was just about finishing my second year in medical school, so I started quite early. And I remember I got in touch with Dr. Mala at the start of my third year and just got an idea of what it really means to be a student, a resident within the United States. And I decided that that's what I wanted to do. And I joined the VSAT classes, which in fact now I guess are a very common thing to do, but back in those days, it wasn't the traditional way of learning. And throughout the time that I had with DAMS, I think for me, the biggest benefit that I had was overcoming the challenge of doing the process alone. I was in a medical college where not many students were on this journey, and I didn't have the pleasure of discussing the progress and the opportunity to gain inputs from my fellow students or friends. And that's where I think DAMS and Dr. Mala really stepped in and guided me. And I never felt alone. I think that's the biggest benefit that I got out of their support. And I graduated last year, and I recently matched at the University of Missouri for my neurology residency. And I'm excited to go there.
Great, great. Good stuff. So you have all discussed a little bit about, where you went for rotations. Apurva, did you tell us about your rotations as well? What was your experience with the rotations?
So one of the rotations was at the University of Alabama, Birmingham. I did HEMONC. That was amazing. So like even one more thing I would like to add, like during electives, what students I saw there were not like seeking out opportunities. So what I did was that I was literally asking all my attendings to present cases, to give any presentations and any research opportunities. So definitely you need to seek out. Otherwise you're not going to get any help. A lot of students did not end up doing those things.
Yeah. Perfect.
That was
one tip on how you managed to get an LOR out of your out of somebody. You know, it was difficult. People always tell me, well, how do we go and approach them, or what was your challenge to get a letter of recommendation out of your you know, the mentor or whoever was mentoring you during your electives? Okay, so let's start with Akshit, because we'll start with Akshit and come to Arjun after that. So tell me.
That's, I think, a really important question a lot of students want to know. I think it's really important to be very proactive, as just Apurva said. I remember when I was doing my rotation in Michigan at Beaumont Hospital, I used to go every single day for the morning rounds. I used to pre-round before my attending came and present cases to them. I found each and every opportunity I could. So I think it's really important to be really very proactive and reach out to them, try to present cases as much as you can. I even published a case report of one of the cases I saw at Beaumont Hospital in Michigan. So I think things like these really catch your attending's attention, and they see that you're putting that extra effort that is needed to and someone who's going to pursue a residency. So I think they look for that. And if they see that passion, they really write you a good letter.
That's really good. Arjun, what about you?
Yeah, I second everything what Apurva and Akshit just said. So something which I might add is you just go up to the attending and ask, are you comfortable writing me an LOR? So if they are comfortable, they will say yes. I would definitely suggest that ask whether they will be comfortable writing you a strong LOR, because sometimes what ends up happening is a lot of people get generic LORs, and when the residency interviewing committee looks at the generic LOR, they might not be as impressed as someone who will be writing you a very strong LOR. So asking for a strong LOR is something which you might consider if you have rotated with them for, like, let's say 2 weeks or 4 weeks.
Right. And what about you, Apurva? For your LOR, did you have...
Yes, I'm that.
How did you...
Arjun's point, I would actually like to emphasize this point a lot, because what I did was initially, as I had like pretty much no guidance, I just went in and asked that are you comfortable writing an LOR. So I felt that he gave me a draft and it was very kind of generic. So therefore I had to like especially reach out to him and request him later on after I was finished with my electives, like, please sir, can it be a strong one? Can you add some personal experiences that we had? And I had to tell him, and then he remembered. So that's an extremely important
thing. You had to be scrappy and you had to go. And that's very important, isn't it? It's very important that you sell yourself because it's important that they know what is good in you. It cannot just be, you know, she is really good at their work. That is not what you want to one.
So I think we should start with strong ones.
Yeah, perfect. Khushbu, what experience did you have with your LOR writing?
I think apart from being very proactive and reaching out, I think it's also kind of like presenting cases and stuff. What I felt during rotations was that just engaging with them as much as possible, not just at work, but even outside. If they invite you outside, just be like a happy person to hang out with. And then they kind of begin to vibe with you. And then I feel that you reach that comfort level to be able to approach them for a letter of recommendation. That's what I did. And fortunately, the request was accepted and they were more than willing to write something for me. And since I knew that letters could be pretty generic, at the outset, I did mention, even during conversations, that something that's specific and something that really explains and elaborates on my interactions with them and my work ethic, that would be something that I would want from them. And also many of my letter writers were happy to present me with drafts. And so I think that was also something great. There was a lot of back and forth with them to be able to accommodate like my requests or something that I would want should be included. So I think it was overall a pleasant experience, but it's not something that you leave for the end, but I think it should be something that you prepare for and discuss for right from the beginning.
Sure. And Ashit, tell me about your experience, Ashit.
I completely second everything that everybody has said. I'd just like to add a couple of points. One, be sure to express yourself during your rotation. I think that's really important. For example, I'm someone that's looking to go into academic medicine in the future. I want to become a professor, a teacher. at an academic hospital. So when I put my hand up and said that I want to lead the grand rounds and the student rounds, that's something that helped me create a good impression with everybody that was around. And that in turn helped me get a strong letter of recommendation, I feel. The other piece of advice that I would have is be sure to have your personal statement draft ready, as well as a strong CV ready before you ask for your letter of recommendation. And in fact, one of the ways that I felt that I could really connect with the professors that I was going to ask my LOR for was by asking them for feedback regarding what they thought regarding my personal statement and my CV. That not only gave me good input regarding things that I need to improve on before I submit my applications for residency, but it also told my letter writers a lot about me as an individual, things that they would otherwise not know in the span of 1 month.
Yeah, that's very, very extremely correct what he said. Probably the last thing I would want to add for anyone who's watching this is that I think be punctual, be well dressed, and make sure that you make an impact every time you step into a ward, or when somebody who's about to write a letter, he should remember and recollect you because of the way you behaved, rather than because you asked them. It should be because they would want to write a letter for somebody like you. So be so professional that they should not have any problem at all in writing. And I think most of you have done that, okay? Now, the funniest part is all of you have applied during this 2020, year of 2020, which was a COVID year. So just wanted probably a small little sentence, a few sentences on the challenges because of COVID, whether you faced challenges or you thought it was okay and there was really no problem at all. Again, start with Akshit. Tell me, did you have any challenge because of this year that you couldn't travel?
Absolutely. I think COVID has impacted all of us, and it's been a challenging year for everyone whosoever has been in any stage of preparation, be it step 1, step 2, step 3. It's been a challenging time, but I think I had a challenge to overcome that. I needed to apply in 2020 for the 2021 match, and I wanted to complete all my exams. So I had to give my step 2 CK, step 2 CS, step 3, as I earlier mentioned. But I also had to complete my rotations. I was doing my rotations in Michigan, I guess, when COVID started to spread and one of my rotation got canceled. And that was a time I was really disappointed. But I think it's really important to not give up and keep going. I continued my step 2 CK and step 3 and did some publications to boost my CV because I could not do a rotation. So that was really a big hit. So I think things like these should not set us back, and we should continue on our path and focus on other things which are going to matter in our application, because it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. So we have to keep going and we have to put in our 100% in it.
Perfect. That's a great answer. Arjun, what about you? What challenges?
Sure. Sorry to interrupt you. I was fortunate enough to come to Rochester just before COVID started. So I have been a research fellow at Mayo Clinic. The first few months was horrible, being stuck at home, not being able to do anything. The difference between any other year and 2020 would have been the virtual interview, sitting in front of the computer, looking at the camera and speaking. So that was something unique. I would say that the main advantage for us applicants was saving a lot of money and like a lot of tension, being able to attend more interviews. But the downside of that was the places who did not really know you weren't really comfortable calling you. So I would say there were pros and cons. Yeah.
Correct. Yes, Apurva, did you face any challenges because of the situation that we had here?
So throughout I was in India only. I was working here. So I missed out on a research opportunity. I was thinking like I might be able to join, but it was cancelled altogether. So that was one challenge. And secondly, I feel that during interviews, like you are not able to like personally connect, like your personality doesn't reflect completely. Like that is one of my biggest advantages. And that I felt was I have something, I have a story to tell, but somehow they connected. Thank God for that. But still, I feel like
you have gotten better because you're still connecting very beautifully, Apurva. We still find you as infectious and as impish and as lovely as you are. So
thank you so much, ma'am. But that's exactly that personality I felt could have been the negative impact. Otherwise, it was fine. Yeah, we saved a lot of money because we're already drained out so much of it. That was advantageous. But yeah, pros and cons both.
That is true. Khushbu, what about you?
I think I was fortunate to have completed all of my exams in 2019. So I was glad that I wasn't stuck in that situation and that ambiguous back and forth between whether to take the CS or not, or what's the alternatives for that. And then I did have a lot of observerships and as well as a couple of research positions that I had been accepted for the year 2020. But all of that fell through and everything got cancelled. And I was in the US actually when when I was accepted for these positions. But then I decided to come back to India and do research here. And I think that was something that was really great for me because I also got the opportunity of working in the Indian situation and scenario in the pandemic time. And I thought I'd look into remote positions in the US, and I was again fortunate to get a couple of remote positions in the US. So I think because of being at home and having to do everything remotely, I was able to do more in less time, which again added to my CV. And also with the interviews, I think, yes, the same things that everyone explained. It's like more interviews, but probably people who don't know you, they won't be able to connect with you because it's so far and it's just distant because of the entire experience. But I guess, yes, eventually everything worked out, and the interviews that I got, I was really happy with. And overall, over the period of the interviews, I felt that I did improve in the entire process, and I kind of went bigger and larger to be able to express myself more on a camera. So I think eventually...
You learned the knack, huh?
Yeah.
You got the knack.
Yeah, thank you.
That's great. What about you, Ashif? Did the COVID situation impact you in any way?
It did, ma'am, actually. So I was one of the last people to give the Step 2 clinical skills exam. I actually gave it the day before it got cancelled for good. And because the COVID pandemic had pretty much set in by that time, we had to change our clinical examination for that exam itself on the morning. We found out that we would not be allowed to touch the patients, especially their face and their limbs. And this meant that I had to do last minute adjustments to the exam itself. It was a challenge, but I'm happy to say that I made it through. And I'm glad that I was able to give that exam because I feel that especially after it was canceled, to sit down and prepare for the OET would have been rather difficult because I had planned to give my Step 2 CK. And by the time I got back to India, I just used the lockdown time to prepare and speed up my CK preparation and give that exam as soon as the centers opened up. But for me, the biggest challenge, honestly, as a result of this COVID-19 pandemic and this whole process was the rank order list. Not being able to physically attend the hospital's rounds and their conferences meant that I did not have a genuine first-hand experience of what it meant to be a resident at that hospital. I had to rely on what the residents were telling me. And to a certain extent, I felt that it became generic after a couple of interviews. Everybody was telling us the positive aspects, but we could not evaluate the neighborhood around the hospital or even how the nursing staff communicates and works with the physicians. And these are key factors. I would recommend that in the future, if you have to deal with this, the best way to do it is by getting in touch with the residents after the interview day and sort of trying to get a one-on-one session with them maybe, or an open house setup where you can clarify some of these doubts that you might have.
Fine, fair enough. So I think I'll probably one very, very important question for all of you. Give me in order of preference, what was important, say 4 or 5 things that really helped you match, whether it is your scores, whether it is your interviewing skills, whether it was your letters of recommendation or your basic experience. What was it maybe in the order that you would like to say 4 or 5 things so that people who want to rank or match like you would probably try to follow those things. And in case you feel there was something that was a setback also, you can, talk about it and say that this is something you should not do or should do, So Akshit, again, we start with you. Just tell us quickly, what are the 3 or 4 things that really helped you match?
Definitely. I think the top 3 things that I feel have really helped me match into one of my dream residency programs is, number 1, I would say my interaction with people. I'm a people's person and I love to talk. And I think people could see through the camera as well that I enjoy talking to them and getting to know that they're part of the story and sharing mine. So I think that is something everyone loved as well. And they some of them did mention it during the interviews as well. So I think number 1 would be that. Number 2, I would say, is my Step 3. It really boosted my application. I received numerous interviews after I submitted my step 3 score, which was I think early December. So that really helped me get a lot of interviews, and I could be in a safe position in the match. And number 3, I think, is my patience and hard work, because it's a long and grueling journey, and if you are not patient, if you're not hardworking, it's gonna take a toll on you. You're gonna get frustrated, and I should not boast about it, but I think you need good patience to be in this journey and to complete it.
Absolutely. Perfect. You hit the nail on the head. Arjun, you may have some more points to say. So let me hear what you have to say about it.
Absolutely. I second everything what he already said. I would go ahead and say that maybe for the perseverance aspect, it's a long journey. It's kind of different for everyone. Someone who is starting from the first year or second year, or someone who is starting their journey in the internship. I would say the personality really shows. So when you're in your rotations, so your personality is directly going to reflect your LORs. So if they really like you, probably they will call you for an interview. If it's an institution which accepts IMGs, so be hardworking, get the highest score possible, but at the same time try to speak out, show that you're interested in learning, show that you're interested in medicine or whichever specialty you're applying to. I would also go ahead and say that pay attention to detail is key. So when writing your personal statement, if you just blow it through, it should not be done like that. Be very careful in what kind of story you want, what kind of background story you want them to know, so that like your CV can kind of mirror your personal statement and they get a very good idea of it, of who you are. Then comes the interview, and which finally shows your personality and the whole package. So just like Akshit said, so this is a marathon and not a sprint. So just have your timeline set in your head and follow through with whatever you need to do and put your best foot forward.
Very good. Perfect. Apurva, let me hear from you.
Yes, ma'am. So for me, I think the most important part was hands down interviewing skills. Literally, I was appreciated. Now I would say that they were not only being nice, they meant it, because I was appreciated a lot in a way that I could tell my stories. I think articulating your vulnerabilities along with your strengths and telling a story, like having a reason, knowing your why, it really connects you with the people. And I remember in one of the programs, they had like healing through arts initiative. So I actually told them ways through which I would contribute, because I'm personally an arts person. So like knowing inside out about programs outside of just their academic or maybe research, like how they're reaching out to their communities and everything, those things, like they appreciated me for that. So I think those things matter, knowing where you're getting into and talking about it, and maybe you can help or you can add on to it, LORs. And definitely, as like Arjun said, I would like to add the PS, like personal statement is like, we neglect it, but it's very important. Like all the interviews, they were talking about it on and on, like how and why. And people appreciated that, the points that I mentioned in the personal statement. So it matters a lot. And of course, if you can get scores and all, you're going to be the king on top of that. Yeah, there's no doubt about it.
But it was not the only thing anytime, even now that the step-on scores are going to be removed, it was never always about your scores. I mean, even though Arjun has fantastic scores, a lot of you have very good scores, Ashir and everybody. But the thing is, it was never always, because Arjun has so many other things as well. You have a couple of years of research and also so many electives. I think, how many electives, Arjun? Just remind me. You had what?
I did like 4 electives in the US.
Yeah, 4 electives, 2 years of hands-on. It is everything that has ultimately led to your course. Exactly. I wanted students to know that, because at one point it is always, oh, I didn't get a good score, what should I do now? But that's never always the end of it. Yeah, there's so many things that you can do. So Khushbu, what are your top 3 or 4 things that you said was very important for you to match into neurology? Neurology particularly.
Yeah, I would like to echo what everyone said. For neurology particularly, I'd start with saying that they would want you to have neurology specific experience, something that shows that you have been interested in this, and something that shows that you didn't just decide one day that, okay, internal medicine is hard, so I'm just going to apply for neurology and see what happens. So well, I think, again, everything ties in together. So it has to be, I feel it has to be a story. How you began, how you decided to get on board with this, what all you experienced, and how you evolved evolved and changed during this entire process? And then finally, what led you to a specialty? And also during a particular interview, what led you to apply to this program? What do you like about this program? So I think all of these things kind of tie in together. Also, like Apurva said, being very honest. And also they have all the factual information about you already, but showing that, oh, I struggled with this, but I overcame this like that, or this is what I feel, or kind of just telling stories about yourself that, oh, I was discussing this with my friend the other day, and then I read about your program and I really connected with this because I was talking about this or thinking about this. So kind of just making it a whole personal conversation instead of kind of just reiterating your CV over and over again. So I think that is what really helps connect and then eventually helps one match, I guess.
Great. That's great insights. Tell me about you, Ashay.
So ma'am, I would like to highlight a different aspect that's usually neglected, I found, by people that are pursuing the USMLE process, and that's the performance in medical school itself during MBBS. I cannot emphasize enough how important it is that you not only succeed as a student by trying to acquire as much knowledge as you can, but also being a student that is diverse, trying to be a leader or trying to be a part of volunteer experiences is very, very important, because I found that acted as a very strong supplement to my scores and was in fact the most commonly brought up topic within my interviews, which is in fact, according to me, the second most important thing about this process. And the interviews tell the universities and the hospitals whether or not you're a person that they can work with and whether or not you're a person that they can teach. And I think that's where you need to recognize, and I completely agree with what everybody else said, and just be honest, don't try to be someone that you're not. Don't feel the need to show off, but at the same time, be sure to tell them what you're capable of. I think that's a very fine line that's drawn, and you need to practice and get it just right. So those are two things that I would like to focus on.
Perfect. I think with all of you put everything together, if I just summarize, I think, yes, getting good scores gives you a lot of opportunity to choose what place you would want to go to. Although not choosing doesn't mean that you don't go to a good place. And I always feel wherever you get, you are the only person who can make the best of it, whether it is in the topmost program or the middle tier or the lowermost program as well. What you get to do from that program is what you've got, an opportunity of a lifetime. I think there are thousands of people who haven't matched this time, and you people have matched, you've been given an opportunity in times of so much uncertainty. You've been, you have got a place in the US, which is so difficult to get. So after all of that, getting through that and going into maybe fellowships or practicing or doing well for yourself, learning in that process is so important. And I do think, like Ashir also very rightly said, that if it starts early, much early, as in your medical school itself, then there are so many things you can do to make yourself align, to what they want from you, because the American students give most of their steps in their third year, and then finally they have so many things on their CV which is so different. It is not only about academics, but it is also about going out there, doing some voluntary work, or getting out there to do anything which makes you a different personality. Be very honest. You're very right. And Apurva also mentioned that if you have something that that you're not very happy about, talk about it and get it out of your system, and don't harp on it and, start feeling bad about yourself. Instead, do something better and make them understand that, you mean business, and there's so much more you can do than just probably scores or rotations or LORs, but there's just you at the end of it, who goes out there and gets what you want. So I think it was so lovely talking to you all. I wish I had more time so I could just keep on talking, and I'm definite that individually also I will probably meet you guys face to face soon. And it is really very, very heartening. Maybe you can give us one line on how important it is to have someone mentor you, or have an institute like DAMS who is sitting in your home country and helping you out in every possible way, which will probably guide the other students also, that you can't do this on your own. You do need some support and some help. So one line on how we probably in our own way, not only Dr. Mala, but DAMS as an institute helped you, I'd like to know, Akshit, you can say something about this.
I've been waiting to talk about this, and I think DAMS came into my life when I was struggling with step 1, and it helped me build that strong foundation that is needed for basic sciences for step 1. And not only the great faculty or the amazing teachers they have, but mentors like Dr. Mala, Dr. Sumit, Dr. Sachin Arora, Dr. Sandeep Madan, Dr. Ranjit, they have been really proactive in helping me out even after my step 1 was done or I was preparing for my step 2 CK or step 2 CS. They have been out there helping me out, trying to find out ways in which they could guide me. So it's been a great support system for me during my USMLE journey. And I want to mention quickly that all the people I met at DAMS, including Khushbu, they have been really supportive throughout my step 1 journey, and even thereafter, be it Mukund or a few others who have matched into US, they have been really good friends thereafter. So it has provided me with that ecosystem of people who I can look forward to if I am in a problem, or I can talk to them about my preparation. So I think it provides you with that ecosystem that is required to match into a residency, and I really vouch for that at DAMS.
Great. Arjun, what do you have to say?
So I want to go back to that day in 2014 when I was completely lost. So a lot of people might not know this. So I am from Calcutta. Not a lot of people from Calcutta decide to come to the United States. So when I finally decided that I'm going to pursue this journey, I was lucky enough to find DAMS and Dr. Mala Srinivasan. Back at that time, we did not have the satellite course. So I only came up to Dr. Srinivasan with my mother and my aunt accompanying me so that I'm going to go to this journey in the US. So and I asked her 2 questions. Ma'am, can I go to Mayo Clinic and Cleveland Clinic? And those were the 2 only hospitals I knew about. Today, I have matched into Cleveland Clinic. It's a surreal experience. I cannot even believe it. She laid down everything in front of me. I don't think I would have been able to continue this journey without her. She has been my inspiration, my guide, and my mentor throughout this journey. I have told a lot of students that speak with Dr. Mala Srinivasan, watch her videos, and like start with your journey. If you need extra help, maybe do the satellite classes, or if you are able to, if you are in Delhi or if you're able to travel to Delhi, do the in-person classes. So without your help, it would not have been possible.
Thank you so much, Arjun. And I have to tell you, I had a long chat with your mom yesterday because I have friends now with her mom, because every time Arjun came, I had a friend in his mom. They used to take so much trouble. It's not always about me. It's about how much effort you took for the whole process. Coming down from Calcutta to meet me and talk to me and go through with your journey on your own must not have been easy. Like you said, there were very few people from Calcutta at that time. And after you, there was such a big line of people who followed Arjun Da, So it's really, really, I think I'm the happiest when I saw Cleveland Clinic over there, because I think that's when I remembered that Arjun had asked me only, if I can match there, then I'll go. Otherwise, ma'am, I will not go. So I'm really happy for you, Arjun. Apurva, tell me about yourself.
Yeah, my story is just like Arjun, you remember. I came in 2016. It was a bit later. I had no one, no mentor, nothing, just Dr. Mala. Of course, step 1, the classes were amazing. It definitely helped me in the concise form and get things together. But undeniably, Dr. Mala has been, I literally even told her like this, you were my rock, and you literally were. No one in whatsoever recent years in my college had done it. So you laid out everything, from the resources that I needed to use to the places that I could do. Like I even sent you LORs that, ma'am, do you think it's fine? Like the little things, ma'am, do you think the signature is fine? Like, do you like, I was just eaten a brain out. So I was just, thank you so much, ma'am. I'm incredibly grateful to you. You have no idea. I had literally no one that I could look forward to, and you were the only one.
So happy. I'm really happy for you, Apurva. You deserve all your success.
Thank you so much.
Tell us about your experience with DAMS and
Yeah, so I decided to join DAMS in 2018, and I was done with the internship, and I thought that starting with basic sciences again, I definitely need all the support that DAMS has to offer. And I remember coming to meet you, and you laid out everything in front of me, and I had kind of read everything as much as I could possibly understand about step 1 online. But everything that you told me was like so eye-opening. And that's the moment that I kind of realized that this is going to be really long. It's going to be a long, drawn-out process. And I think being at DAMS, also getting support from all the teachers, from Dr. Mala, and not just that, as Akshat mentioned, being in this group, like finding peers who are on the same journey, that is so helpful. and eventually connecting with them later, or just everyone's a message away and connecting with them to kind of ask, how did you pull this out, or how did you do this? And also Mala Ma'am's also always been a message away. So I think it was the whole thing is very supportive. And it's like, I was from a medical school that was new, and my medical school had recently been actually included in the World Directory of Medical Schools. So no one was remotely aware of what to do. So I think for me, it was just very daunting. But I think with DAM's support and Dr. Mala's support, everything kind of eased out. And I thought it is possibly achievable someday. So thank you. And I'm really happy to have this conversation, I guess.
Thank you so much for all the lovely words. And now we have Ashir, who is our VSAT student. He's from all the way from Pune. He used to do our classes and also connect with me from Pune, like Arjun used to be from Calcutta. So tell me about your journey with them.
So, well, ma'am, first of all, I just want to thank you for all your support and guidance across the last 4 years. I know I have been constantly messaging you and calling you, and I think that's where I want to start this answer. It's the fact that you've always been available. And I remember when I started this journey without your support, I was so lost. There was so many resources online, very few of which were organized and very genuine in nature. And then I came across DAMS, and I found that things can be simplified and things can be planned out well in advance so that they work out well in the future. And I think I remember I came into your office once in Delhi, and you just gave me this confidence within myself. You believed in me, and that helped in turn me believe within myself that I can do this. And we sat down many times after that to chart out my progress, to discuss things that I was doing right, things that I can do better, and things that I've already created a good impression in and that I can now move on from. And I think having that sort of constant support and guidance from DAMS in general has just been phenomenal. And the one line that sums it all up is, I think DAMS helps you do USMLE right. You know,
that's perfect. That's so perfect. And more than anything, I want to thank you all for coming back to us and telling us, because once you get where you reach, many times people just forget where you started from. So I'm so thankful to you to come back. And I also want to tell you, please pass on all your, the goodness that you have learned, whatever you have learned, pass it on to your juniors, help people out, because this journey becomes a lot easier for people. Once you reach where you've reached, pull others with you, and that's always going to make your life easier. So thank you once again, you rock stars. I wish you all the best in your journey. We are always here. Even after you reach the US, remember, Mala Ma'am is a call or a message away. So I would love to hear back from you about your life in the US and what you're doing and how your journey is going on. So just stay in touch, and all the very best for your future. I just wish you all the very, very best.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you for joining.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you so much, man. Means a lot. Bye, ma'am.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye. Take care.